I'd like to call this March 16th Sumter City Council meeting to order. We always start our meetings with an invocation and pledge allegiance. Tonight will be led by Councilman Steve Corley. We typically start with a moment of meditation that you can pray or meditate on your own and then be led in prayer by Councilman Corley. So if we'll rise.
Thank you for this day, for this city that we can serve. Thank you for our 600 employees and our department heads, especially our emergency staff, and police and fire departments, as they work 24 hours a day to keep us safe and keep our community stable. Be with us this evening. Give us wisdom and courage to make good decisions that benefit all the citizens, all 6 wards. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Corley. So we've been given our minutes from the February 23rd special meeting and the March 2nd regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve as written or any changes need to be made?
Move for approval.
Second motion.
Hasty moves, Blassingame seconds that we approve both minutes as written. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That carries us into old business, but before we do that, I would like to just ask, I think we have a Mr. Jerry Brown and his Cub Scout troop. Is that, I can't see from the light, is that, Mr. Brown, do you mind coming up real quick before we start and kind of tell us a brief about yourself and who you got with us? Sir, to that microphone, if you don't mind, be good.
I'm Jerry Brown. I'm the Webelo's den leader for the PAC 324 on Shaw Air Force Base. So we're coming out here as one of our electives. We have to come to a city council meeting. So we just have come to basically observe what's going on, and then for we have 2 of them just to learn what it's a little bit about. And if they got the courage later, they'll come up and ask you guys a question.
Cool.
So,
well, good.
I got Ryan and Simon.
Well, good. We appreciate you. Occasionally we have Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts coming through doing the same thing, so we're always glad to have you. We appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right, let's move into our old business, boards and commissions. We do have some names, had some new names come through, and I believe we'll need a brief executive session to discuss those, and hopefully we can ratify afterwards. That would be good. I appreciate everyone reaching out and getting some volunteers, folks willing to serve on our boards and commissions. Moving to number 2, the utilities, water and sewer, consider final reading of ordinance number 2731. So, Mr. McCormick, you got any updates on that?
There's been no changes since last time, Mr. Mayor, members of council, but Dr. Corley asked a question last time. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that the volumetric changes are across all categories, just like we had talked about, but we spent most of our time just talking about residential because it had been so long since we had adjusted residential, but volumetric on all categories. But no changes since last time. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Is there any questions for Mr. McCormick? Here none, is there a motion for final reading?
Move for approval.
Second.
Lowry moves, Davis seconds that we move to consider final reading. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Final reading carries unanimous. Moving to item 3, community develop. We've got 2 points to this. One is, first is to consider final reading of ordinance number 2732, amending the CDBG entitlement budget for the year 2020, 2021, which we're currently finishing up, to include a special allocation for the CARES Act, coronavirus relief. Mr. Gaines, do we have anything new or any updates on 2732?
Mayor, council, no changes to the CARE Act Amendment 2.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, there's a very small change, a little over $100 difference. Part of that was from first reading. So just to make it correct, our city clerk caught that, and we've adjusted. So the only difference is the adjustment is down from administration by some $100 and some odd, just to make it technically correct. So what you have before you is correct. If we could entertain an amendment to the first reading, and then I think we'll be prepared for the final reading. Is that right, Mr. Crowe? A motion to conform, to what's in your packet.
Okay.
And again, we apologize for the change, it's just very slight. There was an actual change from HUD just for a few dollars, so it's correct. So a motion to conform for what's in your packet it's essentially the same.
Make the motion.
Move for approval of the amendment.
Mr. Corley moves. Is there-
Second.
Shaw seconds to that we make a motion to conform, and that's first reading
So the first reading.
to the first reading. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So the motion to conform to first reading passes unanimously. Now, is there a motion to consider final reading?
Make the motion.
Shaw moves.
Second.
Corley seconds that we consider final reading of ordinance 2732 as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Final reading is approved. Thank you, Mr. Gaines. Then moving on to this item B under that, community development, is considering first reading of an ordinance to adopt the CDBG entitlement budget for the year 2021 and 2022. Mr. Gaines?
Yes, sir. I got the budget before you for our recommended budget before you, council, for 2021 and 2022. I'm here for any questions. I'm here for any questions that you might have as far as the budget.
Does council have any questions for Mr. Gaines? I know we just had a workshop on this, but anything come up between then and now? Is there a motion to consider first reading?
Move for first reading.
Second. Corley moves, Davis seconds that we consider first reading of the CDBG entitlement budget. Any further discussion?
Just want to remind or make a comment about, thank you for your diligent work in this and under the categories and the HUD categories that we have to work in. I know this is not an easy decision, but because there's so many competing demands on our resources, but appreciate your emphasis on the housing repair and youth employment. I think those are two things that we need to emphasize. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? First reading carries. Thank you, Mr. Gaines. Item number 4 will be consider final reading of city's ordinance number 2733 on a hospitality fee revenue bond. Mr. McCormick, do we have anything new with
Yes,
that?
sir. I can handle that, Mr. Mayor. So as council knows, we talked about this several times, but you have the final reading in final form in front of you. For the borrowing, we were able to receive 1.33% interest, which is a very good thing. So we're very fortunate to be here tonight. Nothing has changed beyond just filling that in, so we would ask for your consideration here. Be certainly happy to answer any questions you may have. The funding will be provided by BB&T Governmental at the lowest responsible rate.
Thank you, sir. Any further questions for Mr. McCormick?
Has our hospitality revenue been fairly stable during this time, or has it dropped some, or how does that work?
It has. Certainly, it was impacted in last fiscal year. You know, at the beginning of the pandemic, it was very difficult, but I would have to applaud our businesses. They have been very wise about taking care of their customers and to-go orders and drive-throughs, and so we have seen it pick back up. So it did affect us last year. No doubt it's affecting some, but it's been very successful for the most part.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to consider final reading?
I move for approval of ordinance 2733.
Second.
Mr. Davis moves, Mr. Lowry seconds that we consider a final reading of ordinance 2733. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, final reading carries. The emergency ordinance, consider ordinance number 2734, amending the extension of, extending the expiration date of ordinance 2723 concerning face coverings in retail and food service establishments. This one has previously been renewed for 90 days for the last few renewals, I guess, through the year. But this one brings it back to 30 days, which would make it expire on April 16th. So just as things seem to be getting better, the governor loosened up some restrictions, but this would just kind of back off where we can revisit and see, you know, if we want to continue the face covering. So, Mr. McCormick, is there anything to add on that, or Mr. Crow?
I believe that's it, Mayor. We just wanted to make sure that we'll have it before you with greater regularity, as you mentioned, with the 30 days versus 90,
Sure.
as things continue to improve, but we're still stay vigilant.
Good, thank you. So is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Corley moves, Blassingame seconds that we consider ordinance 2734 to extend the mask ordinance for approximately 30 days to April 16th. Any further discussion?
My wife checks the John Hopkins database, and she said the average in Sumter was 31. On Friday, though, we had a 46 little spike there with 4 deaths. So I think it's good advice to stay vigilant as a community at least 30 more days.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Let the record show the motion carries 6-1. Moving into new business, to consider resolution number 814 designating the month of April 2021 as Fair Housing Month in the city of Sumter. Is that Mr. McCormick? Anything?
I certainly could do this. Mr. Mayor, members of council, like we mentioned at our workshop, Fair Housing Month is something that we try to bring positive attention to with all the partners incorporated in fair housing. So we appreciate Mayor and council's given attention to this month. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? This is something I think we do every year just to show just that we do advocate and promote fair housing in the city of Sumter. So, is there a motion to consider resolution 814?
So moved.
Second.
Davis moves, Shaw seconds that we consider resolution 814. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries. This takes us down to council reports. Does any councilman have anything for the good of the community or council?
Yes.
Sir, Mr. Shaw.
I don't know if my mic is working. Yes, Councilman Blassingame and I both attended a meeting in the West Side community with probably well attended with 60 or so residents in attendance there at the Bernie Hope Center last Monday. And just talking about the concerns with housing in that area, some of the abandoned housing, some of the burned out housing, and some of the housing in bad repair, and some just not being well kept by owners. And I would say, I mean, I was a little surprised at the amount of people that were very supportive of current ordinance that we have, but trying to enforce an ordinance where people could be fined for not taking care of their properties, and bringing other people's property values down by not taking care of those houses. We are going to meet again next Monday on the 22nd.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Anything? Mr. Hasty?
Mr. Mayor, I was called yesterday by a lady, a master sergeant at Fort Jackson. She was just talking about the bad traffic in her housing area. She lives in the Boulevard area. I hate to give her address, but she's on Rolling Creek. And she said the motorcycles, loud noise, 3 o'clock in the morning. She's a soldier, has to go to work, and it just keeps her up. She's called the police, and they've been very helpful coming by. But when the police leave, these guys will come back and doing all kinds of things. And she is just asking for some assistance. And I already spoke to the city manager about it, Mr. Mayor.
Good. Thank you. Anyone else? Corey?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I don't know if any of the council members or our residents here have driven up Haynesworth Street or Purdy Street recently, but there's a new gym being built. It's on county property, but it really fits in with the historic neighborhood, and that's part of the Penny for Progress movement that we've had, vote that we've had, and at the parking lot, they're working on the parking lot today. So when I first taught at Haynesworth Street in '79, that gym was still there, and there were some dead spots in the wood, and the old gym's going to be renovated also. Some of you out there may have been graduates of Sumter High. Also, one other thing, in the back there a list of community resources. Sumter United Ministries, I know, is one of our shining lights here, and they have a list of various relief referrals and referrals if you have any sort of need or concern. We can do so much as a city, but there are so many other agencies and other venues to move forward in some of your concerns. So on the way out, or if you haven't already picked them up, please, and these have been updated recently. It should be 2021. All kinds of things, housing, employment, addiction. So please, and thank the city for making this available at this meeting.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Councilman Carl and I attended the first Friday breakfast sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce at North Hope Center, and Senator Thomas McAveen gave an outstanding update on legislature issues that's going on, and very pleased to be there for that. And I also want to piggyback on Mr. Shaw's presentation about the meeting we had at Barron Hope Center, and we're doing again on this coming Monday at 6 o'clock, and Mr. Gaines and Mr. McCloskey will be there to answer some questions that Mr. Shaw and I couldn't answer at the meeting. So we ask you all to be in prayer about that. That's at 6 o'clock Monday at Barron Hope Center.
Thank you, sir. In closing, I had an opportunity just after our council meeting earlier in the month to represent council in the city at an unclaimed soldiers burial over in Columbia at Fort Jackson National Cemetery there. And through that process, it was very moving. I don't know if anyone, you may have seen about them and heard about those, but Laurie and I and 3 of my boys were able to go and were able to bury this gentleman that is, I guess, a son of Sumter, I guess. He lived around, but unfortunately was not able to find none of his family, immediate family or children were able to be found until this was kind of made social media. And so it's very interesting. It was a bittersweet movement. And then last week, I was able to meet and give the flag that was given to me to the daughter that had been searching for this airman for a few years. So it was very moving. She was very appreciative of council in the city of Sumter for that. So it was a sad but a glad kind of mixed emotion type event for her. She'd been searching for her father. Found out he had passed on social media and through some other outlets, and then was able to at least come and know where he's buried and then have the flag in remembrance of him. So that was just an interesting event I was able to attend, and many of you have probably seen these funerals or been to these in the past, but that was my first, so I enjoyed that. Any further? Anything else, guys? Takes us into the city manager's report. Mr. McCormick?
Sir, Mr. Mayor, and members of council, a couple quick things. First of all, the Fatherhood Coalition, we know we support their good work. They've relocated, and I think it may be covered on WIS tonight, right to the rear of our parking lot in the old Mars Mazursky building. So good to have them obviously in town and all the good work they're doing. Just wanted to highlight that that's going to be their location now. So they're there, and we've been working with them through that transition. The other thing is you have the February financials in front of you. As always, please take your time and review those, and we'd be happy to answer any questions. Ms. Beth or I would be happy to field those for you. And lastly, I'm going to ask Ms. Shelley Kyle if she'll update you on a few things, and she's got some couple good announcements to tell you about.
Mind if I take this off? Probably still be able to hear me anyway. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. You don't have to take very many notes. I do have copies of all this for you after the meeting that I'll provide for you. But the first thing I wanted to announce or to talk about is you guys designated April as the Fair Housing Month. April is also the month of the military child. So this year, along with many other members of the Sumter community, we are hosting a Purple Up Day. And through the whole month, actually, of April, the Opera House clock tower will be lit in purple. So just, as to designate that, as well as on April 15th, the Sumter community will, again, they call it a Purple Up Day, but that is the day of the military child. And just in support of all those children with our airmen and soldiers out at Shaw, we just want you guys to, give them a nod so you can encourage your friends, family, business partners, whomever, just to join in. The second thing, I'm going out of order that I had them, but the second thing I wanted to tell you is I'm excited. Just got the announcement today to inform the city of Sumter and your council that we are once again an All-America City for 2021. So specifically, the list actually, they just came out today, announced it publicly, and what they're saying this year, that of course with all the compounding difficulties of the past year and everything that has happened and the application that we submitted for this, we're up against, again, 20 cities from around the country, and they vary from anywhere along the East Coast all the way across to California and Washington, everywhere. I don't know how many other cities we were up against this year yet in the past 2 years, because this is our third year in a row we have been named top 20 in the country. The past 2 years we've been up against upwards of 500 plus other cities that have applied. So I would imagine this year's no different than any of the rest. They typically have a good standing and have a good number of cities that apply. Our focused areas were really responding to the COVID pandemic last year. We also looked at, well, let me tell you the theme. The theme that this year is on building equitable and resilient communities. So they wanted us to focus specifically on a few things. They did mention the COVID response from cities. So we brought that in. We also could not write an application on resiliency when it comes to this community as it comes to emergency preparedness and planning. So we wrote in a lot about our hurricane and flood recovery that we have seen in the past 5 years. We also wrote in proactive community policing, which Chief and his staff, some are here tonight, they do very well and have done very well over the past decade, and then some. And then also some economic flexibility through the STEM and STEAM programs that we've had all the way up through even talking about the new STEM school here in Sumter. And then housing being one of those latency things, really showcasing Sumter United Ministries and then some of our rehab programs that we have in the city. So this is truly a community effort, and we could not get this far, we couldn't go any further than this, or we couldn't get up to this point without the assistance and the partnerships that we have with our community and the organizations and the people within. So I want to say congratulations to the City of Sumter as an organization, but really it's the City of Sumter as a community, because being named top 20 is quite a feat in the country. And again, we've done it 3 years in a row, so they're really recognizing some of the work, a lot of the work that we do around here. And of course, there's always work to be done. No one ever says there isn't. So, but we continue to press on and highlight everything that we are doing right and we are doing well in those partnerships around the country. So I applaud you. And lastly, I want to tell you about a new initiative. It's not a new initiative to most of us, but it's one that everybody has been talking about lately, and that is the issue of litter. We do have a new initiative called the Love Where You Live litter campaign going on right now, where we have been working in partnership with the Sumter Greater Chamber of Commerce. And they're going to be pushing out to all their businesses. Actually, it's more of a challenge, asking them to pitch in to help clean up around their areas of their business, as well as pitching in around areas in the community. So when and if there ever comes that time where a business steps forward and says, but we're clean, we're good here. Don't worry, we've got some places that we will push you, we will certainly share. But again, we're trying to make this a little more of into, kind of a little challenge, but the Chamber of Commerce has definitely been instrumental in stepping up and saying that they want to help push this initiative. Of course, we're all very concerned about the litter issue in and around the community. With that, we are announcing some roadside community-wide cleanups, and we're doing that in advance because also in April you have Earth Day. And then there's also what they call the Great American Cleanup, which is a national initiative that goes on in April. But we want to announce those dates now. I have those dates here. I'm not going to list them all. I have provided you guys with flyers. There are flyers on the stand out the front and the lobby. So if anyone in the audience would like to take some home, there's plenty out there. We'll also be providing those to our business license office, so anyone that comes in, and in other areas around the community. So we're just asking all business and organizations to help chip in with this. And if you don't belong to a business organization, don't worry. We have plenty of opportunities for you to volunteer, and in fact, you can develop your team. They're asking for those team members or those businesses or organizations to have a team member that contacts our litter prevention office, and then that office is going to coordinate with them on these specific dates and times starting in April, and they will go every other month through the end of the year, and then each year we'll announce new dates, and each date will showcase different locations. Won't just be one location, it will be a multiple of locations around the community. And what we've talked about with this whole thing is this is not just a city initiative, this certainly is a whole Sumter community initiative, so we will be coordinating areas around the city and the county with these dates and with businesses. So any questions, anything I can answer for you?
No, just to echo, I guess, what maybe you're fixing to say, but thank you. Obviously, the All-American City to do that says a lot about you and your staff and all of our staff at the city, working behind the scenes, just, making a lot of our programs and things run. That's something so often we take for granted, and thank you Please continue to pass on the thanks for the litter. Obviously, council's got other things in the works. Obviously, this is probably a more visible one, and that we just ask to continue to help spread the word for that. So we appreciate everybody that already has participated and continues to do your part, trying to fight the battle of litter in our community and all around. Mr. McCormick, you got anything else?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if I may, since we've dedicated April as Fair Housing Month, I would like for us to continue to see what resources are available to those citizens in our communities that live in mobile homes. You know, we've had many discussions about that, and this may be an ideal time to be able to show them there are a lot of resources out there that are available to you. So I would like for us to make a commitment to do that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. McCormick, you got anything else? Any other comments? That takes us into our comments by our city citizens, part of our meeting. Just read a few notes regarding this time. We've now reached the agenda item for comments by our city citizens. Consistent with our city code, it's an opportunity for our citizens of the city who have signed up prior to the meeting, and we appreciate that. I know that's new. We appreciate those that have done that to address council on city matters, with the exception of personnel matters. In the interest of time, we ask that comments be made by any speaker to be no more than 3 minutes. Also, to avoid repetition and to conserve time, we'd ask if you're with a group that you would, such as a neighborhood committee or a citizens committee, we ask that you appoint a spokesman for that. Also, we want to emphasize that in addition to this portion of the agenda, citizens and those that are not citizens certainly can express their opinions to council members by telephone, email, using the contact information provided on the websites. And also, many of us know each other and we can speak outside of this meeting. So with that said, I'll call Ms. Hyaknath Kinley. If you'll come to one of the microphones, Ms. Kinley, and just for the record, let's state your name and address, please. Thank you.
Good evening, good afternoon.
Good evening.
It's Hyacinth Kinley, and thank you. I live in the city of Sumter now, and I live on a small street, Willis Street, near the Walmart on Bultman Drive. This street has 4 homes. The concern on this street is the traffic speeds. Everybody speeds up and down. It's not a very wide street. We have no speed limit, signs on the street, and I'm very concerned with that. And this doesn't happen only when Walmart is open. It happens all day and all night. Also, periodically, if there's a large truck that comes by, happens so it rips the wiring down from my internet. So I'm constantly calling the phone company to share with them my internet's down, you know, because of the large trucks that may come down the street. Last year I sent an email to one of the council members for that area. I've called DOT, I've called the police department. So it seems like no one knows exactly who should be responsible. So I'd like someone please to really consider that the speeding is really a serious problem on this street. You can ask, out of 4 homes, you can ask anyone on that street. As far as the truck's concerned, I've narrowed that down to exactly which 2 trucks that might be, because we don't have too many large ones come through, and I've called the city. One is our own trucks in the city, which they pick up the leaves and the furniture or anything that is out, and the other truck possibly might be the Sherman-Williams, and I've already spoke with them. But the traffic is really, really a concern on that street. Thank you so very much for the opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Ernestine Govan. Ernestine. Ms. Govan, if you'll state your name and address, please.
Oh, good morning, Mayor and Councilmen. My name is Ernestine Govan. I live at 11 G Street, and the reason for me coming to this meeting, I'm concerned, not concerned, but I'm asking help on my mobile home. The roof on my mobile home, it is terrible. I have reached it out to the mayor, I reached out to you on January the 28th. I emailed you. I didn't get a response. I emailed you on February the 17th, 2021. I didn't get a response. I even sent you some pictures of my home and the black mold inside of my house, but nobody reached out to me yet. And also, I went to St. T. Lynch's, Water Reed, Sumter Resource with Miss Clyburn there, before I could have tell her that my mobile home or what the repair that I needed. When as soon as I said mobile home, she said, no, we cannot do nothing for you. So I turned around, and so I went to United Ministry. I did talk to Mr. Matt. He did return my phone call and told me to do the short application, which I did. And then he called me back and he told me it was nothing they was able to do for me because other people ahead of me. And then I reached out to the family unit, the Williams, but they didn't have any funds at the moment. And also, I even called FEMA, and I also emailed Governor Henry McMaster about this situation and stuff. Because I feel that I live in Ward 2, and my councilman, Mr. James Bassigan, he did reach out to me one time, but I haven't heard nothing else from him with the second email I sent to him. And then Mr. Hasty, Councilman Hasty, he was so kind to came out in one day off of his time and came out of my ward and come and saw my house and look at the roof and everything, the damage and stuff that I had. So I'm just coming here asking for help, but I'm not out here begging, but I'm out here asking for help. I live in my mama home ever since 1974, but it was rightfully gave to me in 2006 after my mother passed. So now I became the owner of the home. I worked it all my life. I got disabled in 2009. I used to drive tractor trailers and with Jersey's and Brockton over here. So my income is limited. Only thing I'm asking is help me get my roof done before the corona kill me or either this black mold in my house. That's all I'm asking.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr.
And y'all
Mayor.
have a blessed day.
I was going to ask for her address.
11 G Street.
11 G Street. Got it. Thank you.
Ms. Sarah Williams, please. Ms. Williams, state your name and address, please.
My name is Sarah Williams. I reside at 421 Continental Road, Patriot Village. My concern here this afternoon is the roads here in Sumter and the trash that has been addressed a little earlier. The trash along Patriot Village roadway is terrible, and I usually walk that pathway, and I sometimes go to the park. And the park, the entrance to get into the park, I work out on the inside of those entrances. Sometimes I drive and sometimes I walk. And they're never opened in the mornings. And I walk like 6:30 and 7 o'clock in the mornings. It's very leery to be out that time of morning, but I'm used to doing it. My husband is not far away whenever he's home. I'm also a CWP carrier, so I am protected when I'm walking. And my concern is the roadway. As of about a couple of weeks ago, my C300 was terribly damaged by the roadway. We filed the paperwork, we got it notarized, and we turned it in. Now we're waiting to hear back from them to get it fixed because it was severely damaged. And that's my concern this afternoon. And I was also challenged by someone on Facebook last night in one of the groups asking me, what do I do for the community? I do a lot for the community. It's too much to name, and I will continue doing for the community. Being a grieving mother of just losing a soldier and canceling my flight today to get to my other soldier that is in Texas because of my COVID shot. So I'm here today and I'm asking some kind of help and resolution for our roadways here in Sumter because it has severely damaged my Mercedes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. It's Mr., bear with me if I mispronounce it, is it Rashaad Hilton? Am I saying that correctly? Is it Rashaad Hilton? Thank you, sir. If you don't mind stating your name and address for us.
My name is Rashaad Hilton. Address is 533 South Sumter Street. And to the community and to the council and to Mr. Mayor, I just want to inform everyone that Sumter is going to be hosting the Social Justice Awareness Summit this coming Saturday, March 20th. The time is from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Some of the topics that's going to be covered is going to be spiritual leadership, criminal justice reform, police accountability, gun violence, social justice, prison reform. You're going to have community leaders from all over Sumter, along with local authorities, speaking on these various topics. Again, who's hosting this event is going to be the South Carolina chapter of POST. Again, that's the South Carolina chapter of POST. If you need any additional questions or concerns, you can contact Dr. Candace Brewer at 864-360-6391. You can call or text. If you text social justice activists. Again, the number is 864-360-6391. Thank everyone. Have a blessed evening.
Thank you, sir.
David, did he say where it's going to be?
He didn't say where.
Hang on, Mr. Hilton. Real quick, can you give us that address one more time where it's going to be located? You gave us the number really good. .207 North Main Street. Thank you, sir. Yep. Mr. Clay Barnes. Mr. Barnes, if you'll state your name and address, please, sir.
My name is Clayton Barnes. I live at 14 Lassane Drive. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members, for allowing me to speak here tonight. Before I start, I'm going to run a few numbers by you real quick. 2020, 2015, 2013, and 2001. These are not the numbers from last night's lottery or even the most recent Clemson versus University of South Carolina football scores, but these are the years that Brent Garcia, Naomi Collins, Barbara Jenkins, and Shelton Sanders went missing. Among these are 16 other unsolved missing persons cases in Sumter that are still active. And as a way to remember these remarkable individuals, we would like to erect a light post on the courthouse grounds. This light post will be provided by Brent's Army, a collection of friends and families of Brent Garcia, whose goal is to bring the seriousness of these cases to light. This light post will have 3 lights that represent the hope we have in finding each and every one of our missing loved ones, the faith that we will see you all again one day, and the love we have for each of you. We wish to erect this light post so if any are lost and need to come home, we will leave a light on so that way they can find their way. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for speaking. And Ms. Brown, I can't tell if you're out there. We're definitely feel for the family of the missing young man out there. We just hope that it'll come out. So thank y'all for coming. Thank you for speaking on behalf of the family. Mr. Lewis Watkins.
Good evening, council. I'd like to thank you.
Mr. Watkins, if you don't mind, we know you. If you don't mind, state your name and address for us, please. Sorry.
Name is Lewis Watkins. I live at 117 Providence Street. That's around the corner from the Walmart, and we experienced the same problem that Ms. Kinley is talking about. We probably need some speed bumps at some point. But I'd like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for adding me to the list. The public comments and the public being heard is the foundation of democracy. And I'm encouraged by what I'm hearing tonight and the number of people that came to speak. But I think those when you have ordinances that don't allow the public to comment or give input, it needs to be considered to have the public involved, at least be heard doing some of those ordinances. That's one thing that I like to say. The other thing is that the streets in Sumter, and I know most of the streets are state streets, like Broad Street, Ginyard Drive, Boltman Drive, those streets are in very bad condition. They need to be resurfaced completely, capital resurfacing. And that's one of the problems that I see that we need. But the most important thing, I think, is to allow the public to be involved in some of the decision-making when it comes down to passing these ordinances. That's basically it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. That concludes our list of requests to speak. That carries us down. We do need a brief executive session to discuss. We put that up there, Mr. McCormick, I guess, to discuss boards and commissions and I guess contractual matters. Yep, first one, to discuss contractual matters and boards and commissions. So is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hasty moves, Corley seconds, so we go into executive session. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're in executive session. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Corley moves, Davis seconds that we come out of executive session. There will be no action taken. We discussed boards and commissions and contractual matters as stated before. That ends our agenda for tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Shaw moves, Corley seconds that we adjourn tonight's meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That concludes tonight's meeting. Consider it over.